in the mornings we were practicing, and when you're there, it's hard and extremely taxing, and it takes everything you have. And then in the afternoon, you go to your job or you go enjoy your day however you want to. So we've really emphasized the balance aspect in our value system. It's joy for us.
Welcome to The Other 3 Years, a show for anyone who has an Olympic-sized dream they want to turn into a reality. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Other 3 Years podcast. My name is Kristi Wagner, and this week I interview U.S. Olympic field hockey player Ally Hammel. Ally has been on the U.S. field hockey team since 2019 and won silver medals with the team at both the 2023 Pan Am Games and the Olympic qualifier tournament earlier this year in India, which qualified the team for the Olympics. It was so fun to connect with Ally and chat with her. I feel like there are a lot of parallels between the way that the field hockey organization is run and the way that U.S. rowing is run. But I think that what I loved most about our conversation was how she spoke about her team. It just was really clear that they're a very close team and they work really well together with a lot of trust in themselves and in their process. And that's how they've been able to have so much success together. Our conversation covered a lot of topics, including how Ally got into field hockey and then the transition from high school to college and then college to the national team and how those are all a little bit different sports, which was really interesting to me. And we also discussed how she finds balance in her life now to make field hockey sustainable and what she's looking forward to at the Olympics. So it was a really fun conversation, and I think everyone will really enjoy it. Before we get into that, here's an update on what's currently going on in my training. So we are halfway through our Erba pre-camp in Italy, and we're getting our workouts in, and then we're resting really hard, recovering really hard, fueling hard. Italy is a great place to be an open weight rower in the summer. Tons of pizza and pasta and gelato and croissants and stuff. So yeah, just really been trying to enjoy the process, I think, which I feel like the team has really been doing a good job of. It just feels like a really great energy. And I think, everyone's just really excited to be here and be doing this and have such an exciting event right around the corner. So we're here for another week, and then we leave the following Monday. So a few days after this will come out to go to Paris. And that's really exciting. Today is Sunday, and we actually had an off day, which is really nice. And this is kind of our last off day before the Olympics, which is wild to think about, but just got to rest up and recuperate and then hit another hard week of training and just taking it day by day, workout by workout, piece by piece. And that's what you got to do. Other than that, one of the spares, Emily Freilich, organized a really fun game of trivia that we all played the other night, which was really fun. Everyone got really into it. My team was very funny, and we did not get that many questions right, but somehow we tied for winning the whole thing, which I'm still a little unsure how it happened, but that was fun. Even if we hadn't won, it was still fun. So shout out to Emily for organizing that and making some of our off time a little bit more exciting. Now it is time for my conversation with U.S. Olympic field hockey player Ally Hammel. All right, Ally, hi. I'm so excited to have you on.
Hi, yeah, awesome to be here.
I kind of just wanted to start with your getting into sports. I assume you maybe did other sports as well, but including field hockey, just when you were a kid and what that was like.
So I grew up playing multiple sports. I played ice hockey from Massachusetts, so of course ice hockey is pretty big. I played softball, lacrosse, soccer, pretty much anything. I was like, yeah, why not? I'll do it. So I started pretty young. I have two younger brothers, both played ice hockey, played other sports, but I remember watching them play ice hockey. My middle brother is 2 years younger than me, so we kind of crossed a little bit in ice hockey. But I remember watching him and being like, I want to play with him. This sport is so cool. I told my parents, get me this stuff. I want to play. and I just picked it up. It was so much fun. And then about, I think it was seventh grade, my mom played field hockey collegiately, so she introduced me to the sport. It just took off from there. It was super similar, like cross between soccer and ice hockey. So I picked it right up. It was super exciting for me. The rest is history, I guess.
So did you keep playing other sports like through high school?
I played ice hockey up until my senior year, well, through my senior year of high school. I was pretty competitive in it until I would say sophomore, junior year of high school. That's when I really decided I wanted to play field hockey.
How like different? I mean, I know like obviously there's a lot of differences,
Yeah,
primarily that you're on ice, but
yeah,
tactically or like
mm,
the position you play or whatever, like how similar
yeah.
are the two?
So I think of ice hockey like a small pitch field hockey. So think my decision making just has to be quicker. I played defense, so similar in both sports. Again, like vision is very similar, but everything just needs to be faster. You need to, make your decisions just very quickly. Field hockey, I would say it's more similar to a soccer in the size of the space, and
Mm-hmm.
tactically, very similar in that way. So it's definitely a cross between the two, but has some really fun, unique characteristics to it, which I enjoy. Sets it apart for me.
So when you were like middle school, high school playing field hockey, were you just like, I really like this, it's super fun, maybe I can do it in college? Did you have any sort of like national team aspirations at that point?
So growing up, Mia Hamm was always my idol. I was like, I want to be
Yes.
like her someday. So I knew I wanted to try to do something like that. You always have a dream, but I never really thought it would become a reality. And if it did, I thought it would be ice hockey or, maybe soccer, who knows. But that was where my headspace was at. But when I started playing field hockey, I just had a blast. So I think I was more focused on enjoying it, having fun, playing with my friends than I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go out and, you know, make a national team, play in the Olympics type thing.
I also like loved Mia Hamm as a child.
Yeah.
We went to I'm also from Massachusetts
Hmm.
and we went to the like 1999 World Cup when they like played the early round at
Hmm.
Gillette
Yeah.
and I just remember it being like the
Insane.
coolest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had like a Mia Hamm from like their old league that they had that was like not the NWSL. Yeah, I had one of her jerseys.
That's so
Or it
cool.
was like a t-shirt. It
Yeah.
was not a jersey. It was like a t-shirt that had yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then like college,
Hmm.
same thing. Like what drew you to college field hockey, and then like what did you like about that?
Differences between high school and college. Typically in high school, you play on grass or field turf surface. In college, you play on astroturf, and typically in Division One, it's wet astroturf. So it makes the game a lot more three-dimensional, a lot faster. It's a little bit easier to understand, see where the ball is going. And then international, of course, it's a bit faster. So once you play in college, it's super similar to international. And I love how international field hockey is so dynamic, so three-dimensional. I mean, you watch the men's game, the ball is in the air half the time, which is insane to me. Super cool. And I love how it's still evolving and it's still changing now. Like you see rule changes happen every year, basically, which makes it a lot of fun to adapt and change to the style of play and the game that you see in front of you. So I think that's what really drew me to it. Really, I mean, in college, it totally sparked my interest. It was like a whole new world for me.
That's so interesting. So like had you never played on that kind of turf until you got to college?
So I played in club, but I mean, that was maybe once a month if I was lucky. Yeah, it was mainly grass or field turf. So it totally changed the game for me.
That's super interesting. Do they like teach you how to play on that kind of turf? Like are there like big changes to the game that you have like to your game that you have to make?
you see a lot more sweeping. And sweeping is when you like get all the way down onto the turf, your hands are on the turf, and you're almost like dragging your stick along the turf. Whereas I think in high school, you see more like place the ball down, try to hit down the field because it helps you get through the bumpiness of the turf. College is a lot more structured. You learn a lot about pressing, outletting, which is, in high school, you're just kind of working through the skill and understanding, okay, I'm a defender, do this. It's so different. I remember my freshman year of college this spring, that's when I really developed into a collegiate style player. You just like the speed, the skill, the exposure to the turf. You just don't get that in high school, which is unfortunate. I wish everyone could have AstroTurf, but I understand it's incredibly expensive to have.
So then during college, like sort of the same question I asked earlier, like did you think that you would keep playing after college?
That was always my goal. Whether I knew I could do it or not, I just wanted to try. I remember my freshman year of college, my college coaches at Boston University said, hey, this is something that we think you can go do. Even if you don't see yourself playing at the international level, it's really great for development because, again, it's like going from college to international, it's like a whole nother level, a step up. So to be in that type of environment, it challenges you as a player. You play against some of the best players in the country, which is important. It just makes you a better field hockey player. So I went into, back then it was called the Young Women's National Championship, and that's basically the start of the trial for the junior high performance pipeline. And it usually takes place in June. So all college athletes that want to play in it do high performance in the spring. And then you go to this tournament, you're selected from there to continue on in the junior high performance pipeline. So they call it junior national camp. And then from there, you get selected to play for the U21 team, the development squad, or the national team. So I went and I tried out. I made it up until the U21 tryout, and then I got cut from the U21 squad. And this is as they were developing for the Junior World Cup, which is super important. So it was a pretty big tournament at that time for them and their world ranking. So I said, okay, I'm going to go trial again next year. And I had aged out of the U21 squad, and I actually made it onto the development squad, which was huge. I think it was the first or second year that we had the development squad in existence. And that is basically to bridge the gap between U21 and the national team. So keeping collegiate players in the system, keeping them up to that like international level standard of play. Yeah, so that was an awesome experience. And I think at that point, that's when I was like, okay, if I can go out there and have confidence in my play, I think that's something for me. I can say, maybe I can go make the national team. Between freshman and sophomore year, that's when I really saw my dream develop a bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's you guys only have U21, not U23.
No, yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Our development squad is technically like a U23. As soon as you age out of U21, you are eligible for the development squad. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's so interesting. In rowing, we have like U19 is like the international junior, and then U23 is like, I guess what would be like international college.
Yeah.
But we don't
Yeah.
have a U21. Like it's only those two.
Yeah. Interesting.
When you did graduate, like sort of what was the process like training for the national team?
When I was a senior in college, I was still on the development squad. Typically, we have a tour every spring. So I think that my senior year spring for the development squad, we went to Holland and we played a couple games there, which was super cool. And from there, our coach at the time was like, okay, I want to select you or I don't want to select you for the national team. And I was invited to join the national team starting August of 2019, which was pretty cool. So that's kind of how the process went. And then, that whole summer leading up to it, it was a lot of just working out, trying to get up to that level, trying to make sure I was fit enough to get through the load. that they have every single day at every single practice, which is crazy. I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is so much like, it's so much greater than you had been experiencing. And I was like, I can do this. This is great. And then you get there and you're like, okay, I thought I was great and I'm not great. So yeah, a lot of that fall, once I joined the national team, was me just trying to get up to speed and understand what was happening, because it's such a huge gap. Like, it's such a huge jump, which is something that, as we grow the game in field hockey in the United States, we want to see that jump happening sooner. So like, it's really our goal is to continue to challenge the speed and challenge the skill, especially at a younger age.
Do you guys have a national training like location
Yeah,
or
so about 2 years ago, we moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina. And we train out of the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. So pretty cool, really awesome facilities, awesome location. The university has been so great. So they have a partnership with the United States Performance Center. Yeah, so it's been great. We've been loving Charlotte.
and are you guys there like all the time? Do you guys train together like all year or is it more like camp style?
It depends on the year. So right now, we fully centralized as a group last year in August, and that would take us as like a whole lead up to the Olympics. And typically that's what you would see. But then in the fall, you see a lot of girls going back to their universities because a lot of them are still in school. And during that time, we'll still have a centralized program. And then you see some players, if they want to go abroad, play in different leagues like over in Europe or, Australia, Argentina, wherever it may be.
I was going to ask you about that. I know that there are some like opportunities, I guess, for people to play internationally. Is that like a big thing?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can probably make more money than you're making like training for the US team, right?
Yeah. It also is great in the sense of challenging our style of play. So, every country has a different style. And if you go to Holland, they look for more of a passing combination. They've been number one in the world for forever, and it's something that everyone wants to work towards. If you go to Argentina, you see more individual, really flashy, great skill, but still a lot of like team play. So yeah, it's just great for challenging our tactical style of play. Yeah. And then of course you are able to make more money, which is great.
Yeah. It's really cool. I feel like you guys have been like improving kind of the past few years. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think are the like reasons for that? Like, I don't know if you guys have had any like big changes or just sort of like team mantras is definitely not the right word, but just
No,
like,
yeah.
was that like a plan and like what kind of got that ball rolling?
We have had a lot of turnover in our coaching staff, and then we've had a lot of turnover in the players on the team. And I think that was pretty difficult in terms of creating something stable within our program. During this time, a lot of the leaders of the group, mainly, centralized athletes, some of whom are retired and unfortunately aren't even here today, really worked hard to create a culture that gave us the ability to both enjoy things like outside of field hockey, you know, go have a job, go play internationally, go do those things that you enjoy. In the mornings, we are practicing, and when you're there, it's hard and extremely taxing, and it takes everything you have. And then in the afternoon, you go to your job or you go enjoy your day however you want to. So we've really emphasized the balance aspect in our value system. It's joy for us. And again, that looks like the joy in the hard moments, the joy, in falling down, failing, and stepping back up again. And then the joy of being able to further your career in other aspects, doing what you love. So, for example, for me, I do a lot of things with my club back in Connecticut, recruiting consultations, practice planning, things like that. And then, in the mornings, I go to practice. It's just this great balance. I mean, we emphasize retention. So creating an environment where people want to stay in the program and they want to buy back into the culture. It's been so much fun for us. we've had people stay and we've had people buy back in, and we've found a lot of success. We have had a silver medal at the Pan Am Games and then a silver at the qualification, which has been amazing. And I don't think a lot of people
Mhm.
really expected us to do that. And, we've had people criticize our culture and the way that we run things every day, but it really just does work for us. And we've seen, again, people want to buy back in, which has been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it actually sounds pretty similar to the way that like our organization is run.
Mm,
How would you say that having that balance has helped you,
mm,
sort of in both
mm.
areas? Because I think a lot of people assume that like having a job or whatever like makes it harder
Yeah.
to put everything into your sport. But
Mm,
I actually find that when
mm.
all you have is your sport, it gets
Yeah,
like a little bit overwhelming. So I don't know
totally.
if like you feel the same way.
Yeah, totally. And I think a lot of us do feel that same way. You get a little bit of the burnout aspect, just, when you have that daily grind and you have to stay on the pitch all day. We used to have a schedule like that, and it just became a bit too much. Again, it's the thinking about, okay, when I retire, whenever that is, what does my life look like? I can work and I can further my career, and I can, for me, personally learn about recruiting and understand the processes of that and say, okay, I'm learning something every day, both like on and off the pitch. And I have something that I want to do post professional field
Hmm.
hockey. And it feels great to have that every day. And, something one of our previous coaches actually said was international careers are fleeting, they're short, and you need to take advantage of them when you have them. And I think for us, this was always like very reassuring, very nice to have, to be able to say, okay, I'm doing both. And when I'm done playing, whenever that is, whether it's expected or unexpected, I have a plan for myself. That was important for us. And making money also, of course, is important.
Yeah.
Field hockey is big in the US, but it's not as big as soccer. And we would love to continue to see that grow through the next however many years. So, and as a way for us to continue to make more money and generate more money as an NGB, that's super important to us. But again, it's like I'm passionate about other things, not just field hockey. And I think that's important for us.
Oh, totally. I think the number of probably athletes that like can live off their earnings from athletics is like really, really small.
Yeah.
The reassurance is like a huge thing. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've explained to people, oh, yeah, well, it's stressful to
Mm-hmm.
be like playing, not have a traditional job because you
Mm-hmm.
do like worry about, your future. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you've got your life to work. And you're like, okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's nice. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sort of
Yeah.
like ease my stresses.
Right. Right.
I mean, I agree. Like having some work experience and things on your resume, and like just also you knowing that you've built like skills and stuff. So
Yeah.
it is
Right.
super helpful. Yeah.
And then, of course, taking your mind off of it. I can come home and for 4 hours, I don't think about what I did this morning. And that's fantastic for me because I am a chronic overthinker. And if I spend my afternoons thinking about, okay, should I have taken my first touch here or here? Then I'm just gonna drive myself crazy. So it's a really nice distraction. And again, like something I work towards that makes me feel fulfilled in my life.
Yeah, I totally agree. To switch topics a little bit, like, yeah, I definitely want to talk about both like the Pan Am Games and the Olympic qualification. So, starting with Pan Am Games were before, right?
Mm,
So, what was
hmm.
that
Yep.
tournament like?
So for a lot of us, it was our first Pan Am Games. I think there was maybe 5 or 6 people that this was their second Pan Am Games. So being there with all the athletes, there's so many athletes that you see on Instagram, you've never met in person, and you're like, this is so cool. Playing in that tournament was a lot of fun. We are still working on our confidence. I think that's our biggest thing right now. We're such a young team, and going into that tournament. I don't think we were even favored to get third, maybe. So that was really exciting for us to go out there. We played Chile in our semifinal match to go to the final, which was, for everyone that doesn't know, at our Pan Am Games, the first team, the gold medal winning team gets the qualification spot for the Olympics. And then based on ranking, we have the next three teams will go to an Olympic qualifier and play for the last, I think it was 6 spots. So I think there was 12 teams total playing for 6 spots at the qualifier. So in our semifinal match against Chile, we were just looking to go out there and take control of the game. We ended the game in a 1-1 draw and we went into shootouts. And I think previously, if we had played that game a year or 2 years before with our confidence level and with our general age as a group, I think we would have seen a loss in that game, but we really fought through it. I mean, Chile at home in Chile, playing against them, it's
Yeah.
crazy. The stadium is so loud and it's so fun to play in, but you're yelling to your teammate and nobody can hear each other, so it's a lot of just looking around, communicating with your eyes, pointing, and it's a lot of like high energy, stress, of course, nerves, but excitement. So that was awesome for us, and for us to come away with a win against them in that semifinal was insane. To play for that Olympic qualification spot, we played Argentina, who is number 2 in the world, was crazy. We actually ended that game in a 2-1 loss, which got us the silver medal, but it gained us a really good spot in our Olympic qualifier, which was amazing. So we were really proud of the work that, went in and the results that came out. It was super exciting for us and it gave us a lot of confidence moving forward into the qualifier, which is exactly what we needed. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really awesome.
How long was it between that and the qualifier?
So we ended towards the beginning to middle of October. So it was November, December, and then we left, I think it was January 3rd for India
So not that
for
long.
the qualifier. Not that long, yeah. So we had a small series against New Zealand in Charlotte in December, and New Zealand was in our pool at the Olympic qualifier. So it was great to see them. And they're a team that we had previously played in Pro League and a team that we, again, look to beat at the qualifier. So we knew each other pretty well going into it. So we left January 3rd for Ranchi, India, which was such a cool experience. For everyone, again, that doesn't know, India's national sport, I think, is cricket, and then really close second to that is field hockey. So it's it is like the national sport. There were so many people there. We were there for in India for about 2 months, and we played in the world's largest hockey stadium, and I think there was 20,000 people,
Wow.
25,000 people. Yeah, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, it was awesome for us to be there, to be at that style of tournament. And we worked our butts off going into it, watching film, understanding tendencies, looking for what our game plan would be for each team. We spent a lot of time doing that, which I think, again, helped grow our confidence to where, the first game against India in India and the stadium is loud and we're like, okay, we've been here before. We understand, we played Chile in Chile. So we understand how loud the stadium can be. We understand what the vibe is going to be like, how it's going to feel. And we were able to come out with a 1-0 win against them, which is insane. Like, playing a country in their home country
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
And then we played Italy, which was a very tough game for us. Italy presses a little bit different than we were familiar with, and I think it really challenged us to come up with new ways to, okay, this is my out and I need to be using this out. Every team is a little bit different. So that was great for us. Again, a confidence builder. And then we played New Zealand. And basically, every game in the qualifier, you think, okay, you're in round robin style, tournament. And really for us, it was like single elimination. You lose one game, you're out. So for us, the expectation was that we need to go in and win every single game. And again, we did a ton of work with New Zealand. We knew each other like inside and out, so it was a super gritty game. And they're again like an excellent side. So coming away with the win, it was insane. It felt like we were finally getting somewhere. And then going into Japan, again, Olympic qualification up for grabs, and we saw ourselves go down 1-0. Of course, that is the first time we had gone down, I think, since I'd say the Argentina game, the final in the Pan Am. I remember that being like oh, okay, moment where we had to make a decision of, are we going to show up, or are we going to say, oh, this was good enough for us? And, we're a team that previously, I think, would be like, okay, we've gotten this far. No one expected us to get this far. No one thought we'd be here. And this is good enough for us. But we knew, we set the goals. It wasn't good enough. We wanted the qualification spot. And I remember our sports psychologist post game being like, in that moment, all of a sudden, it seemed like you guys found each other, you connected with each other, and you just started passing again like I had never seen before. And we had two really excellent corners that we executed super well against Japan. And it was like we just possessed the ball the rest of the game and came away with a win. And it was surreal. I mean, it still feels surreal right now. It like gives you goosebumps thinking about it. I just remember in those moments, it felt like there was no other path. It felt like this was the only path for us, and the moment felt right. And I know that sounds so weird, but it's
No,
true.
no.
Like it just felt right. It felt like there was no other outcome for us. So yeah, it's been insane. Again, we were the underdog. We were never expected to come away with a second place. So building our confidence, building our culture, our connection, we say, is our magic. Yeah, it's been insane.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Do you feel like it's sunk in that you guys are going to the Olympics?
No, still no. I think a bit more now, but I don't think it'll fully sink in until we step on the pitch and, have our first practice. I don't think it'll feel real until then.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of wild. I know somebody asked me the other day, like, oh, does it feel normal, whatever? And I was like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny because like right now you're like surrounded by Olympians. So you're like, yeah, everyone I know
Right.
goes to the Olympics, like whatever. But then
Right.
also you're just like, no,
Yeah.
it's the wildest thing ever. So I think it's like this really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys doing like a pre-camp or anything, or are you just going to go straight to Paris?
So we'll spend a week in Dublin and then we'll go straight into the village at that point.
Very exciting.
Well, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're excited for at the Olympics, sort of like beyond competing?
I mean, I feel like everyone says meeting different athletes. I think that would be super cool. It's like the cliche answer. But I mean, genuinely being around such high achieving athletes, I think that's pretty cool. Seeing different events, I would love to see at least one track event. Like, just give me one, let me out for one. I mean, all the work that people have put into it, and knowing that I have done the same thing, and that I can relate to that, I think that's pretty cool. It's like the connection piece. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I don't want to take up a ton more of your time, but I like to ask people, and I feel like you're going to give a good answer, but I guess no pressure. Like, what advice would you have maybe for someone that sort of has like those aspirations, is maybe in
Mm.
high school or college, and what are some kind of important things that you've learned along the way?
So for us, I don't think I was introduced to this concept until college, but understanding that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail, and that's okay. And something we talk about a lot is one, finding the joy in the sport and finding the moments where, even when it's hard, you feel joy in these moments because they challenge you. And we talk about, going out there and having fun, enjoying the moment, from a young age, I really focused on just going out there and playing and being myself. And I think the reason that I am where I am is because I never really focused on, okay, well, I have to achieve this. I have to go out there and make a national team. That was never a focus for me. It was always, how can I go out there and try a new skill? And how can I perfect it? And how can I challenge myself every day to just be better, because I see that in the international game, and I would love to be able to do everything that, the men do out there. It's crazy. That's really what I focus on. And then the joy aspect and understanding that you make a mistake and it doesn't define you. It doesn't make, your value any less, and to just go out there and enjoy every moment that you have, because again, careers are fleeting, and you would love to achieve everything that you want, but unfortunately that's not always the case. So just, taking advantage of it while you have it.
Well, thank you so much. I do always ask people at the end if they have any questions for me.
Where do you guys train? I'm so intrigued.
So we primarily train in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay.
We're not a centralized team. Like, we can train with our club teams. So I live in upstate New York. I row for a high performance team that's based in Saratoga Springs in New York.
Okay.
But also we have to go somewhere warm to row in the winter. So we also spend a lot of time in Sarasota, Florida. So it's a little bit confusing.
That's nice.
Yeah, we're snowbirds.
Love that. Love that for you guys. And then my only other question is, do you work on the side, or so you podcast, obviously?
Yeah,
I'm just very intrigued. I always love learning about different programs and how they operate.
I'd say the high majority of us work.
Okay.
There are a few like bigger companies that have, I think they're like called internships, but technically they're like positions. Like they're like paid internships. But I work for the rowing organization in Saratoga where I live.
Okay.
And I like plan our regattas. Like, rowing regattas are like big weekend events, and so we host these like really big weekend events, and I plan those. But I'm sure it's the same for you guys. Like, working is tough because sometimes during the year we're available like basically full time, and sometimes we're like not available at all. So they have to be really understanding of like, yeah, I want to work, but my schedule is unknown. And then also sometimes they'll just like change our practices and, whatever. So, yeah, it's been great for me because like the rowing organization I work for is like super understanding. I was just going to say it is definitely like necessary also. Like we don't get paid, anything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so excited. Hopefully I can come cheer you guys on in a game.
Yeah.
When is field hockey?
The 26th is our first game. And then I think it's like every other day we have a game.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Where are you guys?
We're all the first week. So everything is the first week.
Okay. And is it around Paris? Like, is it? I have no idea. So
I'm not 100% sure. I've been told it's near the airport. But we're living in the village, so I assume it is a bus ride.
So we'll see her around.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Thanks for listening, and thank you so much to Ally for coming on the podcast and taking time out of her busy schedule to chat with me. I can't wait to cheer on Ally and the whole team in Paris. Hopefully I get to go to a game. So to end the show this week, I'm sharing a quote from Serena Williams. Just really been enjoying the women power. Wimbledon is on right now, a lot of tennis in the news. And she said, "Every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We're strongest when we cheer each other on." So thanks for listening. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye. I'd love to hear from you. So send us a topic suggestion, or if you'd like to submit a question for our Ask Kristi Anything segment, head to our website, theother3years.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Other 3 Years podcast, part of the Bright Sided Network.